Good morning, day 125, cooking down the freezer, the working pantry, and the refrigerator challenge. So yesterday was a fun day. Everybody enjoyed themselves. My son brought over some dinner. I made some snacks and some dessert, and it was just very relaxing. And I got to sit around with the family instead of running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So I think that's going to be the new thing. Everybody will bring a potluck and it'll be fun. So I was thinking, having company over keeps me on focus. It's like I'm on a timeline where I have to get things done. So for me, once in a while, that's a good thing. It keeps me focused. So today, no garden work again. It's only going to be 40, but I can garden inside. And I did order a couple more grow lights on Amazon. They were $20 with 20% off. So I thought that was a great deal, and it comes with a stand that you can higher and lower the lights, and you can also hang them. So I'm hoping that they'll work out, and we'll see. If not, I'll return them. Oh, look at that steaming hot coffee. Doesn't that look good? But I have to put my creamer in there. I should really learn to drink my coffee with just sweetener or black or with just cream. I don't mind using like a powdered creamer once in a while. When I go to my mom's, that's what she has. So that's what we drink over there, but I really like the chocolate creamer the best. So it's a small indulgence I allow myself. But you should allow yourself indulgences and not always, nose to the grindstone, skimping, and, sometimes you skimp and then you save a little bit and then you can have an indulgence. Whatever you like, whether it's coffee creamer or a special dessert or a really nice dinner that you enjoy. You have to reward yourself sometimes with things that you really love and not always, save, or scrimp. Saving money is all about having money to spend on things that you really want or need, but mostly for wants, if you're saving for something. And then indulge, reward yourself, make yourself feel happy. Otherwise you get depressed, and that's not a good thing. So anyway, today I am finally going to make the stuffed peppers. I've been talking about those for days, and I've just been too busy cooking other things and getting my house cleaned up for company. And I feel much better because I did accomplish that. So I'm going to try and keep up with it a little better. It's not anything that's like spring cleaning, but, keeping up with the basics would be nice. So, alright, I'll be back in a little bit, and we'll see what's for breakfast, day 125. Well, here are the lemon bars I made the other day with just things I had on hand. I used the sour milk instead of buttermilk, and then I just put a lemon and powdered sugar glaze on with just some jelly beans, so they look very festive. So use what you have, save you money. Alright, I'm getting ready to make my stuffed pepper, and I have one pepper left, and it's a big one. So I had two little peppers left, the mini peppers, a red one and a yellow one. I chopped those up fine. I have one onion, very small onion here. And then I'm going to cut the pepper and use the excess, also chop it up. So another thing I want to use up, and I got this in my produce box the other day for $5. So I have two nice zucchinis here. I mean, they're starting to get a little shriveled up, but I'm going to put that in with the pepper and tomato sauce, and because I like zucchini with tomatoes, so I think that'll be good and it'll stretch my meal. And I like to add as many things to a meal as I can, first of all to use it up, and secondly to add more nutrition, and also to stretch the meal so that I can get more meals out of it. So that's just the way that I cook, and I make things around what I have. I don't go out and buy specific groceries for a dish, unless it's like maybe one dish that I want to make, but I don't meal prep around, I guess what I'm trying to say is I do my meal prep around what I have. So this is a nice big pepper, and it'll be enough for 2 meals for me, because I also plan on making some mashed potatoes with it. But I still have a couple of meals. I have a serving of soup in my refrigerator, and I have a little bit more of the stir fry I did the other day, enough for 1 more serving. So I want to eat that up too, but this pepper, I don't want it to go bad, and I don't want the veggie grounds that I took out the other day to go bad either. So anyway, that's my plan, and I like to cut the peppers this way instead of just standing them up. This way I can get easily 2 servings because I can stuff them way fuller. So I'm just taking out the innards of the pepper here, if you're wondering what I'm doing. My 2 little granddaughters want to come over today and spend the day here, so that'll be fun. And my daughter-in-law is going to drop them off, so I'm sure she'll have some coffee and cake with me. That'll be enjoyable too. So anyway, I'm going to mix up my veggie ground ingredients, and I'll be right back. So I keep all my produce in these green bags, and you can wash them many times before you have to throw them away. And they really do a good job of keeping my produce fresh, as long as I put a paper towel in with it. I've noticed that that is actually very helpful. So, I mean, your initial investment, you get quite a few bags, and I think these are the Debbie Myers kind, but there's other brands out there, and I know our local Drug Mart sells these, so it's well worth getting some green bags and investing in those, in my opinion. Now I've just cut up my zucchini here, but sometimes what I do is I shred it, and then I put it in little containers and freeze it, and then I can make zucchini bread or other things out of it. You could stick it also in a rice casserole, something along those lines. But another thing I've done is made zoodles and then frozen the zoodles. So that worked out okay too. So I'm just going to put these in a casserole dish that I have here. And then I'm going to put the peppers on top of them, along with the spaghetti sauce that I have. So, trying to use up everything that I have because food is just out of control, just way too expensive. So, this is the brand I'm using. I've had this in the freezer. I haven't tried this brand. It's been in the freezer for a while. But it has 190 calories and 16 grams of protein. So, and it's made with textured pea protein. I mean other ingredients too, but that's the main ingredient is the textured pea protein. So I hope it's good. I'm going to open this up and I'll be back. Okay, it is certified vegan. This is the rice I cooked the other day, and I'm going to take, at least a third of it, because I can eat the other part with my stir fry. So, that I'm going to save for my other meal. And I'm going to put my peppers in there, and my onion in there. And then, I don't have any aquafaba right now, so I think I'm just going to add an egg to this. But if you want to keep it vegan, you can add aquafaba, or you can put a flax egg in here. Because what I want to do is stuff the peppers, and then whatever's left over of the meat, I'm going to make some meatballs and stick those in the casserole too, or in another dish. So I'm just going to mix this up, and I'm mixing in the top of a store-bought cake thing. You know how they have the domes? I like to save those for my gardening, or I use them to put chips in. That's what I used it for yesterday. Or if I'm going somewhere and I need to take a cake, I save them for that too. So, you know, there's a lot of plastic in the world, and at least we can get a few other uses out of it before it wears out and we have to toss it. So, I try and use up what I can. Alright, I'm going to put together some spices and I'll be back. And I can't turn this off. Okay, I'm going to season my veggie grounds here with some pepper. And then I have some parsley. And some Italian seasoning, because I'm going to use tomato sauce, so I like the flavor of Italian seasoning. And then I'm going to use this pizza seasoning. I like the flavor of this. Okay. I'm also going to add some grated topping from the Dollar Tree. I don't find this to be very cheesy, but I want to use it up. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit over my zucchini too, because that would be good. Alright. And then after I stuff my peppers, I'm going to add this egg and some breadcrumbs and make the rest into meatballs. There won't be many, but there'll be a few. then I can eat those with some zoodles or anything. And then if I have too many, I'll just freeze a few of the meatballs, but I am going to cook them first. So get that all mixed up, and then I'm going to stuff these 2 peppers, and I'll be back. Okay, I just have a scoop here. The first thing I'm going to do is, somebody gave me this spaghetti sauce, so I want to use it up. But I'm going to pour some over the peppers and over the zucchini. And this is also going to be my gravy for the mashed potatoes that I'm going to eat with this. And I don't want too much of the sauce on the meatballs, so I'll just save a little bit. And in the meatballs, I put about 1/4 of a cup, because there's not much here, I put about 1/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs and the 1 egg. So nothing epic. All right. And I don't want huge meatballs, so this is a good size. And I've never made these before like this, so I'm hoping they don't fall apart when I bake them. But if they do, then I'll just eat them that way. You have to kind of go with the flow sometimes. And I like having the little peppers cut up in here too, because you get the flavor of the peppers and the onions in there. So I think this will make like 5 or 6 meatballs. And we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to bake this for, I'm not sure, probably at 350 for, I'm going to try 45 minutes, but I don't think that's going to do it. Either that or I'll try 375 for 45 minutes. But I'm going to cover these up with some foil so they don't dry out, and then I'm going to take the foil off maybe the last 15-20 minutes. Yeah, 6 meatballs I'll get out of this. So this is enough for me for at least 3 meals. So, and if it gets to be too much, then I'll just freeze the cooked pepper. I may actually freeze one of these, one of the halves, with a couple meatballs. I'm not sure yet. But, okay, so there we have it. Clean up my hands and I'll be back. So this is a pretty easy peasy meal. Didn't take long at all, just a little bit of chopping up and a little bit of prepping, not too much. Finish this up. And I think it'll be tasty. What do you think? Would you eat this? I think it'll be good. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably even make potatoes in here if you had a big enough pan. You could put the tomatoes around the potatoes around the outside. But I think this would be great with mashed potatoes. And I have some chip dip left that I'm going to put in the mashed potatoes. So that'll be delicious. All right. me know what you think. Would you eat this? Wouldn't you eat this? Is it weird? There we go. All right. Good morning again. Let's see what's for breakfast. Day 125. I don't have a lot of leftovers from yesterday. I gave everything to my family. So, but I need to eat this egg. It's been in there for a few days. And I did keep the cheese because nobody wanted cheese. They all said they had lots of cheese at home, so I'm going to have that. And I still have 3 rolls here, so I'm going to have one of those. And I think I'm going to have an orange. These oranges need to be eaten. Let's see. And my avocados are still okay. So I'm going to have an orange with that. I have one more orange and I have some apples. But I don't want an apple right now. Then I have the soup left. This is the stir fry and the rice. And I bought myself some pickled beets because I like them. And let's see. I still have some of my, still have some of my homemade jelly. I think I'll have that along with it. All right. That looks like it'll be a decent breakfast. So I will meet you at the stove. All right. There it is. Breakfast, day 125. I have hard-boiled egg, roll with jelly, and here's one with just butter, variety of cheeses, an orange, and a fresh cup of coffee. So that is what is for breakfast today, and I'm going to enjoy that. So cheers. I'll see you back here later. Yum. Well, I've been watching a little bit of YouTube off and on. I don't get to watch YouTube too much anymore because of the time. But when I relax, if I'm taking a break or something like that, I do watch YouTube. So I don't know if any of you follow Glenn Beck, but he has Blaze TV, which is on YouTube. And he was talking in a short that he had posted about what to do about the coming food shortages. So he recommended too that if you buy something that you like, always buy 2. He said buy 2 of everything. He also recommended to plant a garden. Now, if you don't have any property, now I've been talking about this for a long time already, but if you don't have any property, think about planting in pots. And if you don't have any outside space, think about investing in maybe an arrow garden type thing. Get yourself some inexpensive grow lights. Find yourself a corner of your apartment or wherever you live and do some reading and educating yourself on how to grow some of your own food. Even if it's only lettuces and, things like you can probably grow small kale inside. You don't want to pick the big, huge variety of anything. But it's amazing what you can grow inside under green lights. I know you can grow the small little tiny tin tomatoes, but that's what I've been working on lately. So just so that you have some food available, if you can, get yourself some chickens. My oldest son just got himself some 6 little chicks. Now he's not going to eat them. He's strictly got them for the eggs. So, and if you can afford it, then, and you have a backyard. I can't have them here where I live because of the association, but I would totally get myself a few chickens if I could. Now my daughter has more property and she doesn't live in a HOA, so when she gets into her house, she will have some chickens as well. So, think of creative ways where you can make your own food. If you buy a lot of rice and things like that, you can make things with rice flour. Invest in a high-powered blender, whatever you can afford, and you can make yourself your own peanut butter, your own flour. You can make almond flour, oat flour, rice flour, whatever grains you like, or invest in a flour mill if you can afford it, and then you can make your own flour. Of course, the wheat has to be available for that. That's a little bit too complicated for me, but you can make a lot of things with the different flours, because that's what people do who are intolerant of wheat gluten. They bake with other things. So invest in a couple of good gluten-free cookbooks, and then you can learn how to bake and do all kinds of things. You can do anything from cupcakes to bread with gluten-free flour, and a lot of that you can make yourself if you have a high-speed blender. And I know some of them are expensive, but even look around at the thrift stores. Sometimes people get rid of things because they're decluttering, they don't use them, so you might be able to get yourself a good deal. Now I know Ninja has a high-powered blender that isn't like hundreds of dollars. It's probably around $150, I would guess. But it's way, way cheaper than some of the others like the Vitamix and things like that. Now Vitamix, their corporate headquarters is right in the little town here where I live. So every now and then, usually it's around Mother's Day, they'll have a sale in the factory, and that's when I bought my Vitamix, and that was a few years ago. I think I was still working at the time, or I don't remember, but anyway. So think about doing things like that. Whatever you can do to be less dependent on anybody but yourself and your family, to provide for yourself, you might want to give that some consideration. Now my oldest son, he actually lived off-grid for 2 years, and he was trying to teach himself to be less dependent on others, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so he's way into prepping and, and getting things that he needs. So he actually gave me a tiny generator, which was very generous of him, and I'm very thankful that he gave me that. It's a 700 watt, which is small, but it's enough to run some lights. It's enough to run my refrigerator and freezer maybe every 4 hours or so I don't have a meltdown of all my frozen food. So, some of you may think, well, Ellen, you're cooking down your food. Why are you doing that? Well, I know not all of you know the whole story, so I'm just going to very briefly go over it. A few months ago, I had two freezers, my inside refrigerator freezer, and I had a freezer outside. And it was like 43 years old, and it finally gave up the ghost. It just quit. It got old and tired and said, I'm done. So I had a whole freezer full of food out there, and I had a freezer full of food in here. And when I say full, I mean crammed full. You couldn't get another thing in either one of them. So I'm trying to learn to live for now with one freezer, my refrigerator freezer, and it's actually looking decent, and that's the refrigerator that I'm cooking down, so that my other food, which is at my mom's house, she had an extra freezer, I can shop in there if I really need something. So I have everything that I need in both those freezers, but the one I have to cook down. Now, once in a while, I do pick up something, like I bought the Impossible Chicken, and, just to try things, but I'm not stocking up on freezer food. I am replacing it if I need to, either from my other freezer at my mom's, or let's say I don't have any frozen broccoli, then I'll buy some frozen broccoli. But that was my peppers. I'm baking them at 375, and so far it's been about an hour, and I just checked them 10 minutes ago, and the peppers were still a little crunchy, and I don't like the peppers crunchy. I like them pretty soft. But anyway, so I'm thinking it's probably going to be an hour and maybe 15 minutes before they get to the point how I like them. But anyway, so whatever you can do for yourself and your family, and you don't have to rely on somebody else, then, in my opinion, that would be a good thing to do. Another thing that might be a good idea is to hone any skills you have. If you can grow tomatoes and peppers and you always have an overabundance of that sort of thing, you might be able to trade with other people that, have a brown thumb. So anything that you can trade, or, that might be a good thing to either hold on to if you already have it, or acquire if you don't. Another thing that Glenn suggested was to buy an old car, something that you can work on yourself, like a car from the 70s or something like that. Because the cars now, the backyard mechanics, that's kind of in the rear view mirror, and everything is so expensive, and it relies on electronics and computer chips and all that, and like you see now, you just can't get that stuff. So he recommended to buy an old car. You could probably pick them up still relatively cheap, but that was one of the things he suggested. He suggested to go live in the mountains if you can move, or other states where you can have a little more free space. But I know not all of us can afford to move, and I'm not moving because my family's here, and I have my place set up so that it's set up for an emergency. Another thing that I'm going to suggest is to get yourself some kind of a protection, if you get my meaning. Whether that's a big kitchen knife or something a little, you know, I don't want to go into that too much because YouTube doesn't like that and some people don't like that, but just my opinion. I'd rather have it than not have it if I need it. You know, good God, I would hate to ever have to hurt anybody. But if it comes down to me and my family and there's an aggressor, I'm going to pick me and my family, for sure, hands down, and I'm sure most of you would too. So, anyway, yeah, I'm doing different experiments with my indoor garden, and I'll share that stuff with you as it comes along. I have a couple greenhouses outside. They're just little ones. You know, if I could, I would buy a more expensive permanent greenhouse, but we're not allowed to have those either. But then you can at least, you know, grow some food in there. So figure out ways to have something from all the food groups. You know, protein. You know, if stock up on tofu. You know, if you're a meat eater too, because obviously, depending on where you live, you can't have a cow in the backyard for your milk and cheese. So stock up on tofu. You can make tons of things with tofu. You can get whole cookbooks with tofu. Sometimes it's an acquired taste, but you can season that with just about anything, and yeah, I think it's tasty. I like tofu. But think of alternate sources of protein. Not only vegetables, but alternate sources of protein. Yeah, I think that's all I can think of for now. But hopefully you and your family are good to go, and you don't have to worry about all these nasty things that are happening. And I know some people are like, oh, why are you talking about that? Well, I'm talking about that because I'm concerned about people. I'm concerned about not hiding your head in the sand and being realistic. I don't think everybody should be quaking in their boots and fearful. That's not what I'm talking about. But you have to be realistic too, and prepare for the what if this happens, or, you know, and not go crazy about it, but just be a little prepared. So, okay, that's my chat for the day. I'll be back later with dinner. I certainly have enough choices. And that's all I have for now. I'm going to drink my coffee and relax. My little granddaughters are going to be coming over in about an hour, and we have a wintry mix going on out there. So I'm very happy I didn't plant my little babies. So cheers, and I'll see you in a little bit. So my meatballs are done, and I just wanted to try one. This is what they look like. They're nice and firm. They're not mushy at all. But the proof is in the taste. So let's see. Those are darn good. I would say it's a winner. Have a really nice texture. The taste is great. I like the onions and the peppers in there. It has a very meat-like texture. It doesn't have a weird taste at all. I'd say the meatballs are definitely a winner. Those would be good with some spaghetti sauce on them. Now, I didn't put much sauce on there because I was afraid they were going to get too mushy. So I just put a little bit on the top. But yep, so far the awesome grounds are really good. And I ate the whole thing. All right. My peppers are done too, but it's way too early for dinner. And I have to eat some of my leftovers. Now look what we have going on outside again. This is just too much. Yep. It's snowing pretty darn hard. I don't know if you can see that, but spring, where are you? You're a little late to the party. All right, I'm going to stay in my house and stay nice and warm. Okay, so here is my dinner for tomorrow, probably. My meatballs and my stuffed peppers and zucchini and tomatoes. And here is dinner, day 125. And I have one of my meatballs and rice, summer squash, and mushrooms. All right. That's it for today. I want to wish you abundant blessings. I love you guys. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks for watching.